There have been quite a few games on Kickstarter over the ages, and I mean quite a few. The craze may have started when Double Fine announced their Double Fine adventure, and some would say stopped after that thing was released and turned out to be kind of meh, but Kickstarter has been around for quite some time, and even though some people may say that it's over, it's not. There are still games being made thanks to the funding received through Kickstarter. And these are the top 7 best Kickstarted games. A reminder that even though we may have some crappy games now and again on Kickstarter, some really high-profile crappy games, looking at you, Mighty Number 9, and anything Molina does and a lot of other stuff, even though there are some absolute horrors like the Ouya on there, and hipster water bottles that remind you to drink water because otherwise you'd die. that idea got more money than my family made since World War I. Even though there are absolute and other train wrecks, stupidities beyond compare that get funded constantly for millions of dollars, there are still good games on Kickstarter. So I'm gonna highlight some of the best that have already been funded. Just to remind you that, hey, it's not all doom and gloom. Some things can actually be amazing. That being said, let's get it started with number 7, Xenonauts. Now, I don't know about you, but I was kind of disappointed about the new XCOM game, well, the new XCOM 1 game reboot. It lacked a certain sense of tactical choice because you only had one fire option, and it also kind of didn't do well in terms of enemy placement because you were just triggering pods instead of actually fighting groups of enemies that were also hunting you. The sequel didn't improve the mechanics, but it just added so much stuff to it that it made the crappiness of it bearable. And then came Xenonauts. Then came a game that tried to bring back the classic XCOM, and sure, it may have stumbled a bit in terms of some bugs, and they couldn't really afford to have psionics in the game, but in terms of quality, in terms of options, in terms of sheer enjoyment, this was my jam. This was a superb video game that managed to shine in areas where the new XCOM was kind of dim. Story, for example, it had one that was actually good and not written by people that should be slapped around with fish until they learn to stop. It had tactical decision making, it had destructible terrain, it even had some gigantic levels and a mod support that was really asking for its own long war mode. But you know, the game not being famous or having a giant marketing budget, no one made the long war mod as good as the long war mod for XCOM 2, a bit of one. Still, it's a great game and there's a sequel coming out soon, so be on the lookout for it. Number 6, Tabletop Simulator. Yes, I know, I had no idea this was Kickstarted, but yeah, it's Kickstarted. This is a game that was created thanks to the money received from Kickstarter. And what is it? Well, if you haven't played it, let me break it down for you as simple as possible. Imagine you have friends, like actual friends, that you want to play board games with, but you don't have the ability to get them all in the same room at the same time because, you know, you have jobs, you have families, you live in separate cities, you just want to play a game with someone but can't do it in real life. This is where Tabletop Simulator comes in. It gives you a table, you can put stuff on top of it, you can play your game. It comes with a bunch of stuff in the Steam workshop for free, a lot of board games. It sadly has a lot of DLC, but hey, people do license out their games for tabletop, so you kind of have to pay to use them like you would a real tabletop game, but you do have a whole lot of free content for it. Well, free in the sense that you already pay for the game, and extra stuff apart from what they include as standard is free. Get it. Get some friends too. You'll not regret it. Number 5, Chivalry Medieval Warfare. Kind of forgot that this was Kickstarted as well. Chivalry was at its time one of the finest medieval melee multiplayer combat games. It still kind of is. I mean, yeah, then there's the cheating and the fact that servers are kind of exploding, but it's still a great game to play. Its mechanics are solid and it is just fun. It's a solid game mechanically, it's a solid game thematically, it's probably the winner. I mean, there was a feud, well not a feud, but a sort of arms race, if you will, to who will make the first, best, greatest medieval multiplayer melee combat game. There was Chivalry, and there was, well, a lot of Mount and Blade expansions and mods and stuff. And there was Age of the War of the Roses from Paradox, and then War of the Vikings, which sort of fizzled out into nothingness, but Chivalry remained. Chivalry stood strong, which is something I really cannot say about its sequel. Mirage Arcane Warfare currently has 20 people playing it. 20. At its peak it had 830 because it was a free weekend. They're gonna add bots to it soon and hope that the game does not die. It's kind of pointless to hope that a game that's already dead does not die, because it is absolutely dead. Which is sad because it had some nice ideas. Number 4. Superhot. 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 I know the game told me to say something at the end of it, but I forgot what it was. Something about this being a creative, something superb experience like nothing I've ever played. Anyway, it's a great puzzle game. This is a puzzle game that makes you really find what you believe a puzzle is if you don't know what a puzzle looks like. I mean, Hitman's a puzzle game, by the way, if you don't know. A really brutal one. And this is too. You're dumped into a room, time only moves when you do, and you have to kill a bunch of people before they kill you. You can even possess people, you can cut bullets with katanas, you can punch, you can kick, you can throw stuff. It's action movie or action scene the game. It is intense, it is awe-inspiring, the amount of stuff you can do in it, the liberty you have, the freedom, the expression of artistic violence and puzzle solving combined into one entity that is absolutely super hot. Number 3. Elite Dangerous. The dream. To rebuild what 30 years ago was a shining, bright example of the possible future of video games. To recreate what 20 years ago was a technological marvel of a game where you could land on any planet in any place and find stuff there to do. Now, Elite Dangerous doesn't go to that level yet. What was kickstarted back then was a space sim where you would fight either alone or with friends, but always online, sadly, very, very sadly, in an entire galaxy. A full, complete galaxy with each planet, each star, each of them built approximately according to the data we currently have about the universe. The game focused somewhat on realism in terms of how it functioned, and with a heavy emphasis on economy and, well, kind of nothing else. People have described this as Euro Truck Simulator in space. I do not disagree, but I would add that it's Euro Truck Simulator in space with lasers and soon Thargoids, because they're gonna come, it's gonna be a war, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna kill them all because we're bastards. Elite Dangerous is a game for which I truly wish I had a VR headset, because exploring the galaxy, getting up close and personal to a nebula, the astrological phenomenon, is just superb. This is a game where I just traveled around and saw something in the distance that looked like a bright shining spot. I asked a friend of mine, Andrew, what is that? You don't know. So I went there, and the bright shining spot turned into a band, and the band turned into several stars. And the stars turned into a nebula, and the nebula turned into the place where I found a black hole. And the black hole reminded me that I should probably buy the expansion that lets me land on planets, which I did. And you don't land on planets, you land on moons with no atmosphere, which is kind of sad. Really sad. But the game itself, although it becomes repetitive, a lot, very, very dull and repetitive, with little to actually do in it when you break it right down. There's kinda about the same gameplay loop as an MMO, but with less shitty mechanics. Even though it's not really all that great when you break it right down, it's still a fantastic way to explore the galaxy, to enjoy it, to obsess about finding your next big upgrade. I want that anaconda, but I ain't got buns, hun. And by buns I mean space bucks. Number 2, Shadowrun Dragonfall. Now I'm putting Dragonfall here because because this is the one I actually played. I have Hong Kong, I've had it for years, I have not gotten around to playing it, so I'm putting Dragonfall here. Shadowrun Returns had issues, a lot of issues, but it was still the core of what could be a good game. Dragonfall was that game. It was stupendously well put together. They created a cyberpunk, magic-fused Shadowrun RPG, a CRPG, like a computer RPG. How an RPG used to be made back in the day, and they did it marvelously. Combat works, it flows, stories are excellently put together, the world is amazingly detailed, the dialogue, the descriptions, the skills, the way they interact with the world. It's one of the best games ever made. The only issue I had with it is that near the end you sort of lack one certain choice that I wanted to make but couldn't, though I believe they have actually added that in the director's cut version along with some expanded content that relates to the side characters. Amazing side characters, by the way. I believe I've briefly mentioned that Glory has one of the most tragic stories ever in video games. She'll make you cry, and the #1 best Kickstarted game is Divinity Original Sin. Talk about old school CRPGs, well, it doesn't get better than this one. The combat is the best ever made. All turn-based computer RPGs must be judged by the standard of Divinity Original Sin. If they do not pass mustard, well, they ain't getting the candlestick. I have no idea what that reference is actually supposed to mean. I think it's something to do with Clue. The world has a lot of interaction to it. Sure, it didn't have the time of day system that they sort of tried to implement but didn't have the time. It didn't have magic being affected by the phase of the moon because that didn't actually get funded as a stretch goal. You couldn't enter and exit through windows, sadly. And in my opinion, they kind of borked the story. It sounded more intriguing in the beta and in the alpha than it did in the final version. And the one in the director's cut, because they changed it, sounded even less interesting. Well, mind you, as fantasy games go, it's still bonkers. It's out of left field compared to most generic fantasy games. But to take out the man that sold you cheese, that's just not right. I think it was in the game, I don't know. I played about 100 hours of the original, about 30 of the director's cut, so I may be getting them confused at a certain point. I also have the sequel, which I have not yet played because I'm waiting for it to be finished. So I won't spend 30 hours in the preview and then another 70 or 100 in the final one. Just have them all together. Well, that would be it for the top 7 best games on Kickstarter. The best ones that were funded, released, and enjoyed by me. I'd like to give a few special mentions to FTL, a superb roguelike game in space. The Banner Saga, which, to my opinion, it had actually good combat. I liked the way that the combat flowed, where units became weaker, though it did kind of encourage you to just keep one in a corner and hope it doesn't get hit. Pillars of Eternity had superb atmospheres, superb music, superb graphics. Gameplay was a bit too balanced, if you get what I mean. If you don't, ask the RPG Codex. Dreamfall Chapters, because that game began with a gut punch to the face and ended with a shovel to the soul. I almost cried like a baby at the end because it was just spot on, even though it kind of veered sideways into territories that were unexpected and a bit unwanted. And thing is, April, Ryan, Journey Home, get on it. More special mentions are awarded to Thimbleweed Park. I haven't actually played it, but I keep meaning to. I would give a special mention to Numenera, Tides of Numenera, Torment, Tides of Numenera, but I still haven't played it and I've read some of the dialogue. It's horrible. And lastly to Lords of Xulima, because this game was kind of the closest thing I've gotten to a Might and Magic, like a proper Might and Magic game, in a long time. Even though it's nothing like Might and Magic in terms of in the way it's built. It's top down. Well, combat is first person, but it's top down. It's got a bit of an adventure vibe to it, a bit of Dink Smallwood, I would say, but it feels like one of those old school Might and Magic games, and it's just wonderful to play. And there's a sequel coming out too, I believe. I think, maybe. Take a look at it is all I'm saying. Goodbye.